you're missing this, I feel bad. Fanatics Fest is the real deal experience. Oh my God, Jake Paul, the kids love him. And then you have the legend, Mike Tyson.
I got Jake Paul knocking him out.
Former undisputed, undefeated heavyweight champion of the world, Iron Mike Tyson.
Gimmick going, ready to walk into the Coliseum and face the Lion.
As round one began, the tension was thick. Jake, usually known for his aggressive style, was surprisingly cautious, and for good reason. He was facing Mike Tyson. Jake knew a reckless approach would be a mistake, so he spent the first minutes establishing his jab and gauging the legend before him. Meanwhile, Tyson, even at 58, moved with predatory precision. He wasn't charging in recklessly, he was bobbing and weaving through Jake's jabs, positioning himself for a brutal counter. Jake kept his guard high and used the entire ring to create distance, wary of Tyson's power. But Tyson's ring IQ and relentless pressure quickly took over. He cut off the ring with ease, cornering Jake and landing a few heavy body shots that forced Jake to respect his strength. Even though Jake avoided serious damage in the first round, Tyson's presence and tactical control were undeniable. Heading into the second round, Jake knew he couldn't play it safe forever. He adjusted his strategy, finding a rhythm and throwing more combinations. He realized that to have a chance, he couldn't just circle and survive. It was clear that if Jake wanted to take on Iron Mike, he'd need to match Tyson's intensity and answer his bodywork with sharper, riskier counters. In round two, Jake started to find his rhythm, landing a few crisp combinations that boosted his confidence. His footwork looked sharp as he stuck and moved, trying to make Tyson miss and capitalizing with counters. Credit to Jake's cardio, he kept a steady pace, while Tyson, though still dangerous, began to show slight signs of fatigue. Jake even managed to land a solid right hand that caught Tyson off guard, thrilling the crowd. It wasn't a knockout punch, but it was enough to make Tyson pause and reassess. Tyson, however, responded with ferocious hooks to the body. Every time Jake landed a clean shot, Tyson made him pay with rib-crunching blows that seemed to drain the air out of Jake. Yet Jake wasn't backing down. He held his ground, landing cleaner punches overall, and that right hand likely earned him a slight edge in the round. By round three, the fight was heating up. Tyson began unleashing his infamous peekaboo style, slipping Jake's punches and exploding with powerful hooks. Jake was clearly struggling to keep up with Tyson's timing, his confidence from earlier rounds starting to waver as the pressure mounted from Iron Mike's relentless attack. But in round three, Jake was throwing punches, but Tyson was slipping them effortlessly and countering with brutal uppercuts. Tyson eventually backed Jake into the corner, and that's when things got tense for Jake's fans. Tyson unloaded a furious barrage of punches, forcing Jake to cover up and simply try to survive. But credit where it's due, Jake absorbed some massive shots and managed to stay on his feet. The power in those punches would have folded most fighters, yet Jake's chin held strong. Even so, the round was all Tyson. His relentless pressure and clean, powerful shots were taking a visible toll on Jake, whose breathing grew heavier as his movement began to slow. By round four, it was clear Jake was in survival mode, but he wasn't backing down. Despite knowing he was in deep water, he showed immense heart. Early in the round, he landed a clean right hand that snapped Tyson's head back, igniting the crowd and sparking hope that maybe Jake could turn things around. For a brief moment, Jake took control of the center of the ring, throwing combinations, jabbing, and even mixing in body shots to keep Tyson at bay. Jake wasn't just surviving, he was fighting to win. But Tyson wasn't having it. Midway through the round, Tyson landed a vicious left hook that staggered Jake, visibly shaking him and causing his legs to buckle for a split second. It was another reminder of the danger Tyson still carried with every punch. Jake's legs buckled for a split second, but he managed to clinch, avoiding further damage. He was clearly feeling Tyson's power, but his clinch game was solid, tying Tyson up whenever things got too intense. Jake's resilience kept him in the fight, but Tyson's heavy shots still gave him the edge. It was a close round, and then came round five, where things took a wild turn. Jake Paul was still hanging in, but Tyson had clearly been waiting for this moment. Early in the round, Tyson turned up the heat, cutting off the ring and trapping Jake against the ropes. Jake threw punches, but Tyson's defense was sharp, slipping shots left and right, waiting for his moment. Then, boom, it happened. Tyson slipped Jake's right hand and unleashed a devastating uppercut that landed flush on Jake's chin. For a moment it was like time stood still, and Jake collapsed to the canvas. The crowd went wild. Jake was out cold, and the ref waved it off immediately without a count. Tyson, ever the sportsman, didn't celebrate wildly but instead checked on Jake, making sure he was okay. It was a brutal knockout, but there was deep respect between both fighters, even in that intense moment. The knockout everyone expected but still shocked the world. Tyson's power was just too much. So what can we take away from this fight? First, Jake Paul deserves respect. Yes, he got knocked out, but he survived 4 rounds with one of the greatest heavyweight fighters in history. That's no small feat. Jake's jab looked sharp, and he had moments where he genuinely shined. His cardio was impressive, and he showed serious heart standing toe-to-toe with Mike Tyson. That said, Tyson was a force. Even at 58, he had the power and technique that made him a legend. His ability to slip punches and counter with brutal force was the difference in this fight. Tyson's body shots, head movement, and ring control showcased an old-school boxing masterclass. Jake tried to keep the fight at a distance with his jab and movement, but Tyson's skill at closing in and landing heavy shots proved too much. Jake's chin held up well until that final uppercut, which was perfectly timed and executed. In the post-fight press conference, Jake showed up with the confidence fans recognize. Despite the knockout, he wasn't mentally defeated. In fact, he was already talking about a rematch. Look, losses are part of the game, he said, but I'm not done. A rematch with Tyson? I'm all for it. It's clear that Jake isn't backing down. He's ready for another round, showing resilience even after such a brutal fight. I really thought I'd put him out in the first round, but man, that guy's tough, Jake admitted after the fight. He went on to say he believes another round with Iron Mike would give him the edge. According to Jake, now that he's felt Tyson's power and experienced the fight firsthand, he's confident he can come back with a better strategy to outbox him. You learn more from a loss than a win, Jake said, and you have to respect that mentality. He made it clear he's pushing hard for a rematch and won't let this one loss define him. True to form, Jake is already hyping up the idea of a second fight. Whether it's realistic or not, Jake's already talking about it, and if there's one thing we know about him, it's that he knows how to get things moving. On the other hand, Tyson showed that age hasn't slowed him down. At the same post-fight press conference, he dropped a bombshell: he's officially done with boxing for good. Tyson said he's stepping away from the ring, and this time he means it. After dominating Jake Paul and proving that age is just a number, Mike made it clear he has nothing left to prove. I've done my part, he said. I've shown these influencers that they've got nothing on me. Calm and collected, Tyson reflected on his career, noting that while he still enjoys putting on a show, his fighting days are over. Tyson made it clear he's satisfied with how he went out, proving that no matter who steps into the ring, YouTubers, influencers, or even younger boxers, they can't match the legacy and skill of a legend like him. He's given fans one last taste of vintage Mike Tyson and is now ready to hang up the gloves for good. The fan reaction to this fight was off the charts. Social media exploded as everyone talked about the showdown between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. The moment that knockout landed, Twitter and TikTok were flooded with reactions. Jake Paul fans praised him for going toe-to-toe with a legend, but Tyson fans loved every second of that co. Comments like "Vintage Mike is back" and "Jake really thought he had a chance," half-filled feeds, and of course the memes were endless. The memes were on fire, and Jake hitting the canvas became an instant viral moment, with hashtags like Sleepy Jake and Iron Mike forever trending. After a loss like this, everyone's wondering what's next for Jake Paul. It's clear he's no joke in the ring. Yes, he got knocked out, but that doesn't erase the progress he's shown as a fighter. Jake's not just a YouTuber dabbling in boxing, he's genuinely in it. He could easily bounce back and continue his boxing career, possibly targeting other big names in the sport, or return to the influencer scene, where he's already a massive star. Either way, this fight proved Jake is willing to step in there with the best, and that determination deserves credit. So fight fans, there you have it, Jake Paul vs. Mike Tyson, a showdown that truly lived up to the hype. Jake showed heart and skill, but in the end, Tyson's legendary power prevailed. That uppercut was lethal, reminding everyone why Tyson is one of the greatest. What was your reaction to the knockout? Did you see it coming, or were you as shocked as everyone else? Drop a comment and let us know. Don't forget to subscribe to Boxing World, and I'll see you next time. After months of hype, jaw-dropping face-offs, and endless social media exchanges, the impossible finally happened: Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. It all went down at the legendary T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, and trust me, it was everything fans hoped for. But Jake Paul held
Mike Tyson.
his own impressively, but in round 6, Tyson's iconic power emerged, ending the fight with a shocking KO. The build-up was intense, and the showdown truly lived up to the anticipation. When the bell rang, the entire stadium erupted with excitement. Jake Paul stepped into the center of the ring, exuding confidence, as if he had no fear of the man standing across from him, Iron Mike Tyson. Tyson, on the other hand, remained cool and collected, his years of experience evident in his calm, almost methodical stance. Jake started the round with quick jabs, using his height and reach to keep Tyson at bay. It was clear he'd been training hard for this moment, bouncing on his feet, working his angles and staying light on his toes. But Tyson wasn't about to just sit back. Slowly he began to close the distance, inch by inch, trying to get inside Jake's range. By the middle of the round, you could feel the tension building. Jake landed a few solid shots, but nothing that seemed to faze Tyson. Toward the end of the round, Tyson unleashed a quick combination to the body, and the crowd went wild. Jake did well to stay composed and avoid further damage. Jake stayed composed, but you could tell he was feeling Tyson's power early on. The round ended with both fighters still standing, but the intensity had already skyrocketed. In round 2, Jake came out with more aggression, knowing he had to make his mark early if he stood a chance. He started using his jab more effectively, keeping Tyson at a distance, even landing a solid overhand right that got the crowd on their feet. However, Tyson was far from intimidated. The veteran took a more strategic approach, slipping some of Jake's punches and working his way inside. He threw a few more hooks to the body, clearly trying to wear Jake down and sap his energy. Jake's defense was solid in the early minutes, avoiding any significant damage, but as the round progressed, Tyson's relentless pressure began to show. His ability to cut off the ring and corner Jake was a masterclass in boxing IQ. Jake managed to stay on the move, but you could see him breathing heavier as the round came to a close. Tyson's punches were starting to take their toll. Even though Jake was still fighting, it was clear the power and pressure of Tyson were starting to wear him down. The tide seemed to slowly shift in Mike's favor as round 3 began. Jake Paul realized the situation. He couldn't let Tyson dictate the pace. He started throwing more combinations, trying to overwhelm Tyson with speed and volume, and for a while it worked. Jake landed some solid shots, including a sharp right cross that definitely got Tyson's attention. But Tyson, a seasoned veteran, was no stranger to pressure. The heavyweight legend started walking Jake down, absorbing some of the lighter punches and countering with thunderous hooks to the body. Midway through the round, Tyson caught Jake with a brutal left hook to the ribs that clearly rattled him. You could see Jake wince for a split second before trying to shake it off. Tyson's timing was flawless. Every time Jake tried to reset and fire off combinations, Mike would slip inside and deliver a crushing body shot or an overhand right that had the crowd roaring. Jake was doing his best to stay in the fight, but it was clear that Tyson's relentless pace and bodywork were beginning to take a toll on him. Tyson's punishing power was starting to wear Jake down. By the end of round 3, Jake was still standing, but Tyson had definitely taken control. Round 4 began, and Jake showed signs of fatigue. His footwork slowed just a bit. Tyson, ever the predator, took full advantage. He stalked Jake more aggressively, cutting off the ring and forcing him into uncomfortable positions. Jake, to his credit, didn't back down. He kept throwing punches, but they lacked the same pop as before. Tyson, meanwhile, waited for his moment. Bobbing and weaving like a man half his age, he slipped past Jake's jabs and got in close to land his signature power shots. Around the 2-minute mark, Tyson rocked Jake with a powerful uppercut that sent shockwaves through the arena. Jake stumbled but stayed on his feet, showing resilience. The crowd was on its feet, sensing that a knockout might be coming soon as Tyson continued to apply relentless pressure. By the end of the round, Jake was in survival mode, clinching Tyson more frequently to avoid getting hit with another monster punch. You could see it on Jake's face. He was realizing just how dangerous Mike Tyson still is, even at this stage in his career. Round 5 began, and Jake looked like he was on borrowed time. His energy levels had clearly dipped, and Tyson was still coming forward with menacing intensity. The younger Paul brother tried to keep Tyson at bay with jabs and occasional flurries, but Tyson wasn't having it. He knew the end was near. Midway through the round, Tyson launched a vicious assault. He pinned Jake against the ropes and unleashed a combination that had the entire arena gasping. Jake covered up and absorbed most of the punches, but he couldn't avoid everything. A brutal hook to the body sent Jake reeling, and Tyson followed it up with a lightning-fast right hand to the temple. Somehow, Jake stayed on his feet, but it was clear he was in deep trouble. Jake stayed standing, but it was clear he was running out of steam. Tyson continued to press forward, landing short hooks and uppercuts on the inside. Jake was hanging on, but barely. His strategy had shifted from trying to win to simply surviving. As the round came to a close, Jake was looking worse for wear, but he managed to make it to the bell. The crowd knew it was only a matter of time before Tyson's power would prove too much. Then came round 6, and this is where the fight ended. Tyson came out with laser focus, knowing he had Jake on the ropes. Jake, looking exhausted, tried to muster whatever strength he had left to fend off the heavyweight legend. He threw a few wild punches, but Tyson easily dodged them, keeping his eyes locked on his target. About a minute into the round, Tyson saw his opening. Jake let his guard drop for just a split second, and that was all it took. Tyson unleashed a devastating right hook that crashed into Jake's jaw, sending him crashing to the canvas. The arena exploded as Jake Paul hit the canvas. He tried to get up, but his legs just wouldn't cooperate. The ref started the count, and although Jake made it to his knees, he couldn't beat the 10 count. Mike Tyson had knocked Jake Paul out cold, and the fight was over. Tyson proved once again that his power is timeless. At 58, he still had the ability to take down a fighter in his prime. Jake Paul put up a good fight, but in the end, there was no stopping Iron Mike. As medical staff rushed in to check on Jake, Tyson stood in the center of the ring, his arm raised in victory. The fans were on their feet, chanting his name, as the legend of Mike Tyson grew even larger. This fight set the internet on fire, and reactions to Tyson's epic knockout flooded social media. The reactions to Jake Paul's knockout were absolutely wild. Fans, celebrities, and even other fighters couldn't stop talking about it. Twitter and Instagram were flooded with memes, hashtags, and hot takes right after the fight. Jake Paul started trending worldwide, along with Iron Mike forever, as Tyson once again proved why he's considered the GOAT. Boxing fans were quick to say Father Time doesn't exist for Mike, while many joked that Jake Paul had officially entered the shadow realm. The memes were next level, with people comparing Jake's fall to everything from cartoon knockouts to video game deaths. Of course, Jake's haters had a field day, celebrating the moment they'd been waiting for. Celebrities also jumped in with savage reactions. Drake, who has been vocal about Jake Paul, tweeted something like, "Never bet against a legend." Snoop Dogg posted a clip of Tyson's knockout with the caption, "Lights out, young blood." Shaquille O'Neal even chimed in saying, "Mike Tyson still got that dog in him." The fight world went crazy, and now we want to hear from you. What was your reaction to the knockout? Did you see it coming, or were you just as shocked as everyone else? Drop a comment and let us know.